News Radio 840 WHAS. Good Sunday morning. Bob Sokoler and the Louisville Real Estate Show here with you until the top of the hour. Thanks for joining us. We've got a lot of stuff going. Let me introduce the folks who are joining us. Kevin Dissler, Pitt and Frank Attorneys. And you can reach Kevin and his crew to help you close your loan at 895-9900. And actually, Kevin's into more than just closing loans. We're going to talk about exchanges in just a little bit from a question that we've got. Also, Brad Lawler, owner of Home Team Inspection Service. They come in as a team. They have been ranked now 7 years in a row as a number one home team inspection service in the country, and hopefully going for 8. And you can reach Brad and his team at 844-411-TEAM. Also joining us, a special guest, Caroline Westfall, who is with Save a Tree, shrubs, and lawn care. And in our COVID shows where we get emails, we have an email that actually involves need of help from Caroline. We'll talk to her and get that question in just a moment. First, welcome to all of you. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
Let's start with the news.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. With the housing industry at all-time low, the inventory all-time low, contract signings decreased 5.7% month over month last month actually in January. The third consecutive month for a drop, waiting to see what February's numbers are. The National Association of Realtors is reporting that. Mortgage demand stalled last week as interest rates hit a multi-year high, but that will likely change quickly. Rates are now falling fast due to the Russian invasion of Ukraine. The American home is getting larger. The pandemic has prompted more homeowners to want space and to spread out. Are you finding that, Brad, as you do inspections?
Yeah.
Bigger homes?
The size of our home, the average size is now 14% larger than it was just 2 years ago.
Wow. And many are encouraged to buy bigger households as more people live under one roof, families and kids moving back. That has led to an increase in the size of new single-family homes. By the way, the average square foot for new single-family homes nationwide is 2,561 square feet. That was as of the fourth quarter of last year. And finally, this one's for my fellow realtor compadres out there listening. For top commercial office transactions in 2021, the top one is out. Topping the list, the sale of the building in Cambridge, Massachusetts. The property seller was Brookfield Properties. The buyer was Biomed Realtor, and they paid $3.4 billion, that's with a B, billion for the property. Not sure what the commission was for that one, folks, but for the fellow real estate agents, even if it was just 1% commission, that's a $34 million commission check. So let's move over to our questions. If you would like to see what we're doing and review the answers, go to LouisvilleAnswers.com. That's LouisvilleAnswers.com. That's a redirect to our YouTube channel. You'll see that there. We start with Caroline, and she's got to go to a meeting, so even this early in the morning on Sunday. Liam writes in, he owns a home in the Highlands, wrote us about several trees that are on his property, apparently branches fallen in the past couple of weeks with the winds and the storms. And he's wondering, is that a sign the trees are dying, or is it just wind damage?
That's a very good question. I will first start out by saying it could be one of several things. Trees, like anything else in a home, need maintenance and regular maintenance, pruning, and perhaps some plant health care will help keep the trees healthy. If they're healthy, they're less prone to break out in storms. If they're maintained properly, pruned properly, but no one can predict when we're going to get a straight line wind. And that's a good reason to have a certified arborist to come out and do an inspection and give you some suggestions and ideas about what might work for you.
Caroline, what's the cost for listeners right now who are wondering, listen, I may want to think about getting an arborist now? What's the average cost?
Usually the initial cost there is no charge for the initial visit. If we're just looking at one or two, the average homeowner's property, a couple of trees. If there's something that's more involved, the cost usually runs around $100 an hour.
Gotcha. If you want to reach Caroline, because I know she's got to go to her appointment, 244-8770. Liam, if you want to give her a call, I'm sure she can help you, 244-8770. Caroline, we'll let you get on to the appointment, and we thank you for joining us.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity
opportunity. Look forward to hearing from your listeners.
Audience. You got it, kiddo. Thank you. All righty. Moving on, we've got questions from, let's start with, for Kevin. Tommy writes in, he says he owns several rental properties and he's thinking it's time for a 1031 exchange. So Kevin, quickly, what is a 1031 exchange?
Sure. What a 1031 exchange is, and I was mentioning that I think the statistic I saw this morning was home prices in the country went up 19% in 1 year. So a lot of people like your client that called in, they have quite a bit of gain in their property and they like to cash out. The concern with that is when you cash out, you have capital gains tax. And you mentioned these were rental properties. Capital gains tax, depending upon your own income levels, and could run 20, 25% state and federal. So what a 1031 exchange does is say that Bob owned a 2-bedroom condo as a rental for $200,000. It's now gone up to $400,000. Roughly speaking, he'd have about $200,000 worth of gain, and he'd have to pay $50,000 of federal and state capital gains tax. What a 1031 exchange does, you roll the proceeds of that transaction into essentially what's an escrow account, and you hold that money in escrow. Well, you don't, but a third party and our company can provide that service for you as well. But the escrow agent holds the funds for you, and you have 45 days to identify replacement property, and then you have 180 days to close on it. So we've had a lot of people just like your client that called in that has the same situation. I want to sell out some of my real estate. I don't want to pay taxes. So we set them up with a 1031 exchange. But then the problem is they call Bob Sokoler and say, Bob, can you show me some rental properties in Louisville, Kentucky? I've got 45 days to get some identified and under contract. And your response would be,
we got to try to find some because there are not that many out there right now. Yeah.
Good. So you have to have a little bit of planning so that you time this so that when you close on the seller one, that Bob or whichever agent is helping you has a couple other prospects.
Yeah.
Because we have a lot of people that go through, we put the money in the escrow account and they cannot find anything in the way of replacement property. A lot of times they'll go to a Florida condo because it's kind of a safe play. But if you've ever dealt with any real estate in the last couple of years in Florida, it's worse than here.
In terms of lack of, I got you, right.
Lack of inventory, you have to be able to move extremely fast. You better have cash. You mentioned a little bit earlier how the market, anything that comes on the market is gobbled up so quickly. So we do provide the service so that people don't have to pay the capital gains tax, but they do have to roll it over into another investment piece of real estate. And the hard part is if you call Bob Sokoler and say, 45 days, find me a property, good price, good condition, Bob might have a little difficulty doing that.
Yeah, that could be a problem. So, all right. And again, we'll give Kevin's number out in a bit, Tommy, but anybody who's thinking or wants more information, that's one of Kevin's specialties. So certainly he's the guy to talk to. Moving over to Brad, Isabella is writing us over our email since we're in a COVID Zoom show. Though you send us an email with the subject line radio question and then the question in the body of the email. Isabella says she lives in Crescent Hills. Ever since she bought her home 5 years ago, the water pressure has been low. She says if her husband is in the shower and she starts a washing with a washing machine, the water in her husband's shower gets very cold and the pressure is reduced. So she's wondering what she can do to fix the problem for the water pressure. So, Brad, let's start with the premise, because she's not alone. I'm sure there are a lot of homes, including mine. The water pressure may be subject to a problem. Where do we start?
All right. So you start first in your neighborhood. I live in an area that for the first 15 years I was here, we had very low water pressure until they put in a new lift station, pump, and water tank, water tower. So you could be in a low pressure area, a low pressure neighborhood. There's not much you can do there. There's just not enough volume. But if you're in a home, particularly, Crescent Hills area, that, depending on the age of the home, you may have, I'm not saying she does, but she may have galvanized pipe. The galvanized pipe may be corroding. Lead pipe and galvanized pipe will corrode. And as the pipe corrodes, you kind of get this gummy sludge that's inside of it, and it will constrict water flow. So that could be one of the issues. You could have an issue that a valve, sometimes we'll have plumbers come out, they'll close the valve off, the main water shutoff valve, they'll cut those off to do work. And then when they open them up, they don't open them up all the way. And so that causes then low pressure in the house. So it sounds like it's something that's been in her house the entire time. And, the trick in a house that you just can't get any more water pressure in there, assuming that there's not a pressure regulator valve there that's either gone bad or it's just out of adjustment. Really, the trick in those low pressure homes is you have to do one appliance at a time. You can't have a dishwasher running while your washing machine is running. You can't take a shower while any appliance is running. So yeah, contact a plumber. Plumber can really identify if there's an issue with a valve, maybe that's corroded, maybe there's a pinhole leak somewhere that they're not aware of, particularly, copper lines will do that. Or it may just be, sludged up, galvanized pipe, may just, those are relatively easy fixes for a plumber. They're not particularly expensive if they can isolate it to a certain area of the house. It's not like you have to, replumb the entire house, but you can correct those. But yeah, the plumber would be the first place to start on that one.
Got it. By the way, we felt the same problem in my house, and I love high water pressure for a shower. Mm-hmm. And so there are shower heads that are much higher pressure. I don't know how they do it, but there's a much better pressure. I don't know if you've had that problem, but they're solvable.
Well, and the other thing is that in these shower heads, what they're doing is they're putting a small plastic valve in there to restrict the water flow. So you get a low flow, and you can actually easily pop the little plastic piece out, and it takes the restriction off of it and gives you better pressure there too.
Yeah. If you've got a problem with the shower head, folks, send me an email and I'll look at I'll take a picture of it and I'll send it to you, the one I have, so you can use it for yourself. Incidentally, we now have 5 ways to help you sell your home, and they're just about guaranteed to help you find your next home. To get more information and get me online, to get out there to see you, go to bobsellmyhome.com or sellmyhomebob.com. Fill out the form and I'll give you a call. This past week, we closed a fairly large home that was on the market with another agent who couldn't get the job done. It was just not aggressive enough in marketing. We got that closed and sold in a matter of weeks. So we're having really good success when we're able to get homes. There's just so many buyers out there and not enough homes. So let's go back over to Kevin. Rachel, living in a condo here in Louisville, and she writes in that the neighbor to the side of her makes a whole lot of noise at night. She says she's asked the neighbor politely to stop, but so far no luck. She's contacted the condo association, and they've been reluctant to do anything. So Kevin, legally, what are her options at this point if the neighbor in the condo won't help her get some sleep?
Rather limited. I was going to mention before you mentioned it that the association that basically governs the condominium complex that she lives in is the best and first choice to go to. And, usually putting a little bit of pressure on them because they have the authorization and have the authority to actually try to curtail it. If you go the public route, it's a private nuisance, I guess, would be the type of allegations you would make. Mm-hmm. It's just very difficult. You have walls in certain condominiums that are just so thin that the noise comes through, and you may have a particular sensitivity that most other people do not to your neighbor's noise. It's just very hard and very difficult. She could also go to Louisville Metro and make a complaint. But I think the best approach is to go back and make herself a bit of a nuisance to the condo association and just to see if they can deal with it.
Not to the neighbor, but to the condo association, so it takes it out of your hands.
That's correct.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We're going to take a break. When we come back, if you've got dirty carpets, let's face it, going in and out with the ice and the rain and the snow, the carpets may be dirty. We've got some top cleaners in the area, different types, both doing it yourself and having it done for you. With us as we take a break, Kevin Dissler, Pitt and Frank Attorneys, and you can reach Kevin and his crew, including the 1031 exchanges. Kevin can help you with that. 895-9900. Also, Brad Lawler, owner of Home Team Inspection Service, 844-411-TEAM. My son Greg is actually off today as he's out on a skiing vacation at the moment, but he's back tonight. And then you can reach me, Bob Sokoler, anytime, because we would really love to help you figure out a path to put your home on the market and sell it, as well as help you find a home with 12-plus agents that I've got. You can reach me at 376-5483. We are back in a moment on News Radio 840 WHAS. News Radio 840 WHAS, and we are continuing with the Louisville Real Estate Show. We're here with you until the top of the hour. With us, We've got some great people. Brad Lawler, owner of Home Team Inspection Service. They come in as a team. You can reach Brad and his team at 844-411-TEAM. Also, Kevin Dissler, Pitt and Frank Attorneys at 895-9900. You can reach me to come on out, free of charge, no obligation. We come out, talk about what the process is, what the prices are, how much you can get for your home, and how quickly it can sell. You can reach me at 376-5483, or you can go to bobsellmyhome.com or sellmyhomebob.com. Either of those will work. And then we thank Barbara Corcoran for her endorsement and friendship of Shark Tank fame. She does a great job there, and certainly love the fact that she has been there so long and doing such a great job. So, guys, dirty carpets. I think we all can say that. Kevin's saying no dirty carpet. I've got dirty carpets.
I want to come home tonight, Bob. My carpets are perfectly clean.
That's true.
The house is immaculate,
Yeah, you're skiing as well. Anyway, if you do, carpet cleaner rentals are available from a local home improvement store. Now there's a couple of companies that did some surveys to see which ones are the best ones to rent. The best overall is Rug Doctor. The runner-up, Bissell Rental. The Rug Doctor locations include Home Depot, Walmart, Ace Hardware, Dollar General. The X3 Rug Doctor, not that means anything to you, but it has a larger tank, 3.9 gallons, which will allow you to do more carpet cleaning. And then if you are thinking, okay, maybe I don't want to do it myself, maybe I'd like to have somebody do it for me, there are a variety of companies, and Stanley Steamer and Coit come to the top of the list. They're not sponsors. I'm just telling you from personal experience. But if you're doing that, ask and look for discounts, if they've got any discounts. And if they do, what are they, and what type of coupons can you use to get a deal when they come out and shampoo your carpets. Most of the time, they come out free of charge, most of the time, to look at your carpets and give you an estimate. You can do one room, you can do 5 more rooms, whatever, and see if they give you a discount for multi-rooms. Hopefully that will help you, especially as we get into the warmer weather. How about this past weekend and past week? Phenomenal temperatures, just amazing. Over to the questions again. Paris, Brad, sent us an email with the following question. She's owned a home for 5 years, had it inspected originally when she purchased it, and there were few, if any, problems. She's now selling the home, has a contract on the house, but the buyer's inspector found a variety of problems that appear to have been pre-existing before she bought the house. So she's wondering, can she go back and sue her original inspector who may have missed these problems?
Well, in the state of Kentucky, I would tell you no. There's a 12-month limit on that. We'll let the attorneys talk more about it, but the agreement is 12 months. I don't think it's a bad idea, though, to contact the original inspector to ask questions, because one of the things that we find a lot of is that the second inspection that was just done, there might have been some challenges with that inspection too. We've been pulled into a few situations where we've inspected homes and other inspectors have inspected homes for different buyers, and they missed things. We got involved in. We had to go in as a witness for another buyer, because they ended up getting a copy of our inspection report, and there were things that we had reported on that the inspector that she hired had not caught on, and it ended up going into an arbitration that we got pulled into to provide some expert witness testimony about what we saw. So what I'm saying there is not all inspectors are created equally. So I think that it may benefit them just having a conversation with that original inspector so that there can be some context that's put on it. But yeah, as far as suing them for things that are missed, I don't know what avenues would be available to him. I'm watching Kevin's face. He's got lots of raised eyebrows. So I'm sure Kevin wants to jump in and make some comments on that.
Kev, go ahead.
Well, actually, Brad and I were talking. I've got a friend that had just the same situation that we're talking about. Home inspection, actually, with a brand new home, probably I think it was about 10 years ago, and a fairly significant item that was missed by the home inspector.
Yeah.
So this is real life. We had that long discussion about it, but usually the contracts give you a very limited window to go against the home inspector, and usually also there's a clause of arbitration, which the courts in Kentucky which is usually a retired judge. It's a more expedited process, a little less costly to go through. But everyone's licensed in Kentucky, but all home inspectors are not equal. There's a certain reasonable care. Brad may be at the very top, and there may be someone else who's adequate, but not at his standard. But basically, you'd have to prove some type of malpractice on the part of the home inspector. And I know Brad and some of his colleagues, you never like to go to an arbitration and say, this home inspector did not perform the services within a reasonable standard with the industry, and that's usually what would apply. But usually look at the contract, talk to the home inspector, try to see that avenue first. But there are some situations that people just didn't do their job. And sometimes you have to talk to an attorney, like I said, to go to arbitration. You get a chance to say your case to the arbiter. You may win, you may not. But there is a pretty wide window as to the level of care that a home inspector that's determined to be adequate.
Got it. Moving on, by the way, if you want to sign up for our newest newsletter, it's free and no obligation. Go to welovelouisville.com, welovelouisville.com, and sign up for it. This question actually goes to both you guys. Ava is planning on selling her home this year, and an agent she interviewed to list the house found several cracks near windows and door frames. The agent could not tell her whether to get the cracks repaired or not, but expressed concern that if she had the repairs done, she would have to write about them in the disclosure. And she's wondering, is that necessary? So let's start with the inspection standpoint. Cracks around windows, door frames, are you going to write that up if you see it on this?
We probably will. Those are indications typically of something moving, but there's going to be other clues that we're looking for. Just because I see something inside doesn't necessarily mean that something's moving. I'm going to be looking for a crack outside in a similar place. Is there evidence that things are really moving, or was this just a bad drywall job around a window or a door? I mean, those happen. So I think we got to look at the full picture, not just one little area of it, to determine what's really going on there, because it may just be very, very cosmetic, or it may be an indication that there's some sort of a structural issue looming.
So Kevin, this moves now into Ava's specific question. Can she have those cracks repaired? And if she does, based on the agent she interviewed, does she need to disclose those when she fills out the disclosure from a legal standpoint?
Well, I guess my concern is that what we were suggesting, that sometimes it's evidence that there may be a latent defect in the property, meaning a structural issue. And if you make an effort to basically make cosmetic repairs to it, put a little spackling, put a paint over it, you may be subjecting yourself to a claim later from the buyer that you try to conceal a latent defect, like a structural issue with the house. There was a crack and you concealed it. I think it's best to, whether or not to disclose that. Is it a repair? I just think the best thing to do is just disclose it, especially in this market. The fact that you had a professional come in, they looked at it, they did the repair, here's the receipt. That would tend to protect you against later claims that somehow you were trying to patch something that would have otherwise alerted a buyer that there perhaps may have been a structural issue with the home. And those are some sometimes very expensive claims. So I'm not sure if that's what they're relating to.
No, I think you hit it right on the head there, but specifically in revealing that in the disclosure, this is the crux of it. I think what it comes down to is the wording that you use in the disclosure, because if you say small cracks covered up with, not covered up, but spackled and painted over, that's one thing. But if you say something else that leads the buyer to believe that there might have been something more problematic, maybe that's something you need to be concerned about. So any suggestions from an attorney on this, Kevin, on what to say and how to say it?
I think you have to be very cautious, but what you'd have to guard against is the perspective that a buyer later finds a structural problem. Mm-hmm. And then even whether you were aware of it or not, the fact that you tried to conceal that and did not put that in the disclosure would tend to be some evidence fairly strong that whether you knew about it or not, that the presumption would be that you did and you try to cover it up.
Good
so
advice.
I'm always just be upfront and honest and have an inspector come in and take a look at the home.
Yeah, you can sleep well at night and not have to worry about something coming back on you. You are
Correct.
Absolutely right. Final question. Melissa listens to our show on a regular basis, heard us talk about Federal Pacific panels and the problems they can cause. She's wondering, are there any other electrical panels that she should be watching out for when she goes to buy her first home? This is a really good question because we talk about Federal Pacific. Anything else that we should be on the alert for?
The other one in this area is a panel called a Zinsco panel. You don't see those very often. They're Federal Pacific, the FPE or the Stablock, whatever we want to call them today. You see those regularly. I mean, there's probably tens of thousands of those still around Louisville. But the Zinsco panels are out there. I mean, there's a handful of them. We'll see one, two, three a month maybe during the inspections. But it's really the other ones that I would caution you about are any of those that have the bus type fuses, the kind of screw in fuses that you have, particularly if modifications have been made to those. They're using oversized fuses, or they're using nails, pennies. I mean, we've seen all sorts of things in place of the actual fuses, because those little screw in bus fuses are getting expensive and they're hard to find. So people just try to bypass by putting nails and other stuff in them, which now you've got a major fire hazard going on. So I would be just as concerned about that type of a panel out there, and those are still pretty common.
Do you see actual pennies and nails in? You do.
Yes, and you also see them where they put the little adapter so they can screw a larger size fuse into them too. Yes.
Folks, please be careful. This is danger. Danger, Will Robinson.
Yeah, that's right.
We are out of time. My thanks to Kevin Dissler, Pitt and Frank attorneys, who gave us some great information about the 1031 exchange, as well as answer our questions. You can reach Kevin 895-9900. Also, Brad Lawler, owner of Home Team Inspection Service. They are just great people, come in as a team, and they can help you get your home looked at, reviewed, and inspected. You can reach Brad and the team at 844-411-TEAM. You can reach me to get out there easy enough to come out. We talk about what the process is, look at pricing, figure out what the path is. You can reach me on my cell phone anytime, day or night, 376-5483, or if you don't know by now, you can go to bobsellmyhome.com or sellmyhomebob.com, those two. And remember, we have a 150-plus step guide, free of charge, no obligation, that will help you sell your home faster and for more money. Send an email to bob@wesellouisville.com with the words home selling guide in the subject line, and I'll send it out to you. Guys, thanks for joining us. Thank you all at home for joining us as well. We will see you next Sunday on News Radio 840 WHAS.